Hey guys, good morning. Good morning from Voices from the Dirt Road. Good to see you. As always, we starting our first cup of coffee off with you. I want to just say thank you to everybody who's already on right now at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm always blown away that how many people are willing to sit around and listen to what we have to say. The part of this show is to try to put in a nutshell everything that's actually happened in agriculture over the past week. And as y'all guys know, it's been a very busy week. As you can see, if you look behind me, we tried to update my studio. I know there's a lot of military stuff behind me, but that was my past life, and I still hadn't taken any pictures of my cattle that at least have made it to the wall. So please forgive me. But over time, we will transition more from being the veteran guy or the military guy more into being Shawn the farmer, and we'll get some pictures. With that being said, hey, before I even jump in the show, let me kind of give you an update. Last week I mentioned that one of my calves was a little sick. So let me give you a quick little update. I think I have a picture of him. Well, these guys here, I call this is my staff. These are two calves that I have, two heifers that I have. We're going to talk a little bit about the heifer replacement program, but there's two heifers I have that anytime I walk out in the pasture and I'm doing anything, these two always walk up and they want to smell me and say hi. So I call them, this is my staff. When I was in the military, I had a pretty big team, but this is my team now. And the cool thing about this staff here that they constantly supports what we're doing. And so this was a picture from yesterday. All right, let's and this is the picture right here. That little guy there on your left, if you see it, that's the one that's still a little sick, but I want to let you know it's getting better. That's farming is a blessing. It's one of those things that you have your ups, you have your downs. And as this week, we all as cattlemen are a little stressed, and I get into that a lot more. So as I jump now into the show, today I'm excited that we're going to talk about a lot of things. I look forward to getting your questions. Right now, we got about 50, 60 people on in the first 2-3 minutes that we've been on board. So I'm trying to talk a little bit because what we have noticed is in those first 5 to 7 minutes is when people are still getting their coffee and coming on. And this morning's show is a very important show for cattlemen and just everyday people. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about what's going on with cattle. We're going to talk about what's going on inside of our grocery stores with tariffs and those kind of things. And then we're going to talk about what's going on with SNAP. So I want to make sure that I give people enough time to actually get in and be able to talk to a couple of things. And I also want to encourage you to send your questions in. Send them in. We'll take them and they'll come directly to me. One of the things that I will be doing this weekend, or actually today, and that I'm very excited about, is when I leave, when we finish this show up today, this afternoon, I'm jumping on the road and I'm going to Tennessee, Kentucky, and I'm actually headed up to Red Hill. I'm actually going up there this weekend, and I'm going to buy some cows tomorrow. And I'm very excited about that. Red Hill is an outstanding farm. They got some of the best genetics when it comes to Red Angus and Black Angus, Simmental. And I'm really excited that we're going to be able to buy some additional cattle, bring them here to our farm, and continue to build our herd. That's what it's all about, because what we're doing here, just like all the rest of the ranchers and farmers are doing, we're feeding America, and that's what we want to do. So let's jump on into the show. I see roughly we got about 100 people that are looking right now, and I know more are going to come on in. So, hey, this is our 5th episode. So thank you. We're moving in the right direction. This particular episode, we're going to be talking about cattle production. Just a matter, I think everybody's tracking. We on day 24 of the government shutdown. And I think every last one of us now know that the government shutdown is no joke. We're starting to see the effects. We're starting to feel the effects. We have many people that are laid off or furloughed or have been fired during this particular layoff and or shutdown, and it's having great effect on what we can do, even here in the agriculture community. So with that, let me go back and touch on a couple things. Like I said, we're on day 24. Today is Friday. If I'm not mistaken, if we don't get the Democrats and Republicans and the president to come together today, I think the president goes to the Far East either tonight or tomorrow for a conference. He's talking about going and talking to the president of China, and we'll see how that plays out next week. But still, the fact remains, we're at a stalemate, and things are just not happening. On this show, I'm not about pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just about, hey, we got a problem. We need to get it solved, and let's stay focused on how can we help our farmers out. Let me go back to the stool just real quick here, just to make sure that I level set everybody on the show. You know, this show here is Voices from the Dirt Road. Voices from the Dirt Road actually means that real people that's out there in America, this is a safe show that you can actually chime right in, ask any question that you want to ask. And we're going to try our best to answer that particular question live on the air within 30 to 45 minutes. We're not going to take a whole bunch of your time. But let me just reorient you back to the stool, because the stool is very important. This morning, when we talk about cattle production, we're actually talking about that part of the stool that talks about livestock. That is a pillow that's in there, but we could be talking about poultry, you could be talking about goats, we could be talking about fisheries, whatever you want to talk about. But just so happened today, we're talking about cattle production and the effects of that. So that's the part of the stool that we'll be touching on the most in this particular show. But as y'all guys know, our brothers and sisters that are actually over in soybeans, which is part of the row crop, are still struggling today. I mentioned earlier that we still have a problem with China. China is not buying any of our soybeans. We still have a situation with Argentina. We're going to talk about Argentina from a beef perspective. But just a few weeks ago, if y'all guys remember, we gave them a buyout of $20 billion. And then Argentina turned back around, slapped us in the damn face, and lowered their prices on their soybeans. And then China swooped in and bought all their soybeans, which is a slap in the face to our soybean farmers. So we'll touch on that a little bit. And then all the way over there on my right, I'm not sure if it's your right, where it talks about forestry. We know we just had a show a few weeks ago where we had an outstanding gentleman come on and talk to us about what's going on in the forestry community. I got to get back to that a little bit more because I know more paper mills and plywood mills are closing in the country, and we want to make sure we discuss that. And then behind everything is the Department of Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture, we want to mention it, but we'll go in greater detail. But just this week, I think it was yesterday, some of the FSA offices started opening up, and I think they're trying to get some payments out to some of the row crop farmers. So we're going to touch on that. But ultimately, one of the reasons why I think we still got a problem with our farmer community is because Congress has not passed a farm bill since 2018. So that simply means when you're getting your money from the government for whatever reason in any program, that is based on 2018. And I'm here to tell you, if you like me, when you go and buy a fence post, you go and buy anything for your farm, it costs a lot more in 2025 than it did in 2018. So that's kind of where we're at. Let's jump right on into what's going on in the world of agriculture this week. I'm a cattleman. I'm part of the Georgia Cattlemen Association. I'm part of the National Cattlemen Association, and I'm even a cattleman here in my hometown right here in Northwest Georgia. So I'm all in. This is what I wanted to do all of my life. And then when I got out of the military after 40 years, I decided to do it, and we're doing it. It's not easy. And right now in the world of beef or cattle production, it's like we got a slap in the face this week. But I'm going to let our president tell us what's his thought process, and then on the back end we'll talk a little bit more in detail. But before we jump to that particular video, I just again want to thank everybody. I see there's roughly about 500 people right now watching us live, at least on the platform that I can see. So again, Thank you. Get your questions in, and let's go from there. Let's play that first clip with the president telling us what's going on or what he's going to do for us.
That is the message from some U.S. cattle ranchers who are furious with President Trump right now over his new plan to import more beef from Argentina. The president says he's doing it, he wants to do it, to ease record high beef prices for Americans.
I put tariffs on things coming in to the country, including beef, and that gave them a chance to finally have a decent industry. The ranchers understand that. They're so happy for what I've done. I saved them.
Trump also adding that he loves America's cattle ranchers, but also says they, quote, don't understand tariffs. Now, some of those cattle farmers who overwhelmingly did support the president in last year's election are making clear that they do not agree with his plan.
Consumers will tell us when the beef is too high. I think it's outlandish for the president to come out and say the beef is too high and he's going to get it down himself. What is his problem with higher priced beef? Because consumers have a choice in proteins. There's chicken, there's pork, there's all different proteins. Consumers have chose to buy beef. President Trump ran on being a free market guy. So what he was saying last week goes totally against what he ran on.
Hey guys, I agree with my brother there right at the end. Our system's supposed to be built off free markets. As a cattle rancher, as a cattle producer, as just part of the greater team. It's not like I have the biggest herd running around the United States, but I do provide meat for the American people. And when we say we provide meat for the American people, we provide quality meat. You can get meat from a whole lot of places, but I'm not going to say it's the same quality of what you're getting here in the United States and the time and effort that we're put into it. So I understand that the president is trying to help. However, the president needs to listen to the Cattlemen's Association and other leaders out there, our congressmen that are saying to him, hey, sir, what you're doing by bringing in additional beef or potentially bringing in additional beef from Argentina and other places is not going to lower the price of beef in the grocery store. It's actually going to lower the price of cattle that the American farmer rancher out here is trying to make a living on. So hopefully he listens. Right now, the president is kind of dug in. Hopefully he makes announcements today before he jumps on the plane or tomorrow before he jumps on the plane. But I'm a little concerned that as cattle ranchers or cattle producers, we may be in the same department with our soybean farmers. And if the government gets involved in our agriculture business, it's going to tank. And, this past week, we already seen where cattle prices are already starting to fall, because cattle prices are tied to the futures that comes out of Chicago. And if you make those guys just a little nervous, they will start tanking the prices. And that's not good for anyone. That's not good for the rancher. But on top of that, as we start losing money on our product, more and more farmers are going to go bankrupt. More and more of our youth that thinking about getting into this business are going to say, no, I can't make any money in it. So, other words, we're going to be a dying breed. So let's see what my leader and your leader inside the Cattlemen Association, see what he has to say. What was his message to the president and to the world out there?
Importing beef from Argentina, the impact that you think this is going to have on American cattlemen.
It's more than just the impact of the Argentinian beef. It's actually what the president is talking about in terms of trying to bring down beef prices. He keeps talking about that without the understanding that if you bring down beef prices for the consumer, what you're actually doing is telling cattle producers to accept a lower price for their cattle. And we think that that's absolutely unacceptable. And we're very concerned that the president has focused on that, because as an industry, we worked for decades now to build the overall quality of our product. And we are producing beef at a quality that we have never seen before. And the consumer is rewarding us by buying our beef. They want our beef and they're spending the money on it. So this is truly an attack on us as the cattle producers.
Well, he couldn't have been spot on. And you know, a couple of things that have actually happened in the regular, my audience that are cattle producers, they know this, but I'll say this part for our just normal, everyday, great American that wants to understand what's actually happening behind the scenes in agriculture. This week, the Cattlemen Association from the national level actually reached out to every cattleman, cattlewoman out there throughout the United States and said, hey, here's a letter. We want you to sign it. We're not forcing you to sign it, but we want you to sign these letters. And those letters went to our congressman there in Washington, D.C. In my case, it went to our two senators, Warnock and Ossoff, and then it actually went to my representative, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Those letters went to them. I think that was on Tuesday or Wednesday. It went to the president's level. It didn't go well. And I think we all saw where the president put on Truth Social that he pretty much made us as cattlemen. We're not going to get into that. But then it turned back around and we sent direct letters. They asked us to send direct letters to the White House, which we did yesterday. And hopefully cooler heads will prevail. And it's not about who's right, who's wrong. This is about making an industry of cattle producers survive. Because right now in the agriculture community, like I talked about earlier, now we actually have 3 legs of this stool are now in some level of chaos, in some level of stress. So that's the livestock side now, the row crop side, and the forestry side. And then on the back side of that, the Department of Agriculture is now open. But I think one of the things I need to make sure that people understand that it's only 2, well, the Department of Agriculture, but it's specifically the FSA office is only 2 people in there. And I don't think they're actually open to the public. They're just in there processing paperwork. So this is day 24 of the shutdown. This is the stuff that we're dealing with as farmers. And I think it's important that we all understand what this show is about. We're trying to encapsulate all this so you can come to one place, understand what happened for the week and where we're going in the future. Hey, again, I just want to stop, say thank you again. I see that we're well over 1,000 people that are watching us right now. That is just awesome. I look forward to continue this conversation with questions. I'm not sure if we have received any questions, but if not, I do want to move to that. Oh, I see a question just popped in. Kind of like we mentioned earlier, will this action that the president is doing with bringing in importing beef from Argentina or anywhere else, will that make a difference in the grocery store? The answer to that is absolutely no. The reality of it is, and next week I plan on doing a show and potentially having some experts on, because if you understand agriculture, it's 2 ends of this thing. You have the ones of us that go to the grocery store, like many of us do. I even go to the grocery store, and those prices in the grocery store, the steaks or hamburger that you receive, that's not developed or any kind of way as the farmer do I have any influence on it. That is based 100% on 4 meat packing companies. And next week, I want to get into that because these 4 meat packing companies control everything. And until the president addresses those 4 meat packing companies, your prices will not go down in the grocery store. In addition to that, on the front end, the farmer, me, the only thing I do, I have 2 choices. I can sell direct to the consumer. That's my brothers and sisters that actually go to the farmer's market, or people come on their farm and they buy meat direct. Or in my case, I raise cattle. After a year, I get them to a weaning weight. And then from there, I take them to the sale barn and I actually sell them there. And whatever the price is that day based on futures that I mentioned earlier in Chicago, is what they're going to give me. And my fellow farmers or fellow ranchers who sold cows like I did 2-3 weeks ago, I got a better price 2 or 3 weeks ago than my brothers and sisters that sold cattle this week got, because what I've been seeing and reading is all this week, based on all the chaos that's going on, the price of beef has been going down, down, down. Not in the grocery store, but for our cattle that are actually out there. And so hopefully that answered that question. But next week, we're going to jump right into it real deep and talk about these 4 meat packing companies that really control everything. And for as I'm concerned, we need to break those things up. They have a monopoly on what's going on, and we just got to do better. Let's move on into that other leg when it comes to row crops and talk a little bit about our brothers in the world of soybeans, because they're actually out there right now picking the crops. And the question is, where are they going to be able to sell them? Because right now, China is not buying anything. We don't have any real markets, and the farmers that have the ability to store it and maybe hold on to it, great, but many don't. So they're actually picking right now and going to lose money on their soybeans. So let's get a quick little update. I think we have a video that talks about soybeans, what's going on in soybeans this week.
In giant silos, Aaron Lehman's harvest waits to be sold. A 5th-generation farmer and head of the Iowa Farmers Union, Lehman tells me that this one holds 5 semi-trucks worth of soybeans, at this moment completely unprofitable. The world's biggest soybean importer, China, stopped purchasing the crop from American farmers, part of a trade war that has roiled markets with farmers caught in the middle.
Is it hard not to be discouraged?
No, it's very discouraging. We're not getting any closer to profitability. For every bushel of soybean that Iowa farmers grow, for every bushel of corn that we grow, we're losing money.
Earlier this week, the Trump administration said it would bring back essential workers at the USDA, unfreezing $3 billion that were already allocated in the previous budget. But it is a fraction of the $13 billion in new aid that farmers expected. A senior Trump administration official tells CBS News a further $10 billion could be on the way, but not until the government shutdown ends. For farmers like Lehman, every delay makes the pain more acute and foreign buyers less likely to come back.
Rather than just putting a bandage on the wound, we need to fix what's causing the wound, and that's the chaotic trade policy.
You know, I feel so bad for our row crop brothers and sisters. You know, I'm in the cattle business. However, my brother Eric, he's in the row crop business, and they're feeling it. Is this year we're having a bumper crop in soybeans. I mean, just blessed. Everything was perfect. The problem is now they don't have any place to sell the doggone crop. So we just got to get better. It's a lot of different variables going on. Like we said, yes, the FSA office is open. Only 2 people are actually in there. They're processing some paperwork to try to get some money to the farmers. What I'm concerned is that money is not going to get to them in a timely manner to keep them whole or keep them solvent. And many more are going to have to go bankrupt or won't be able to get an operating loan for next year. Hey, let me just stop and say thank you again. I see that we got more than 1,557 people currently on here watching. That is simply amazing. And when I say that's amazing, is because I'm just an old boy from Southwest Georgia, did some years in the military, and now live up here in Northwest Georgia. So for you to get out of bed, listen to what we're talking about, that says that people are truly interested in what's going on in the world of agriculture, because at the end of the day, these farmers and ranchers are the ones that feed us. And right now they're in the hurt locker. We never on this show get into politics. This show is not about politics. This show is about giving a voice to the people that live on a dirt road. And if you really know me and know where I'm from, my mama's house is still on a dirt road. So it reminds me to stay humble, remind me to stay focused, and anything that I can lift my voice to to help out the farmers. I'm going to do that day after day after day. Again, outstanding. I think we've been on for about 25 minutes. It won't be long. We'll be off. But again, I just wanted to thank everybody for watching us. Now it says that we're over 1,600 people that are watching. The next thing I just kind of want to talk about, because we talked about soybeans, we talked about cattle production. Those are two areas that are on this side of the equation when it comes to the farmers. But now I want to move very quickly onto another side of that farm bill that I talked about. The largest part of the farm bill, when you actually start looking at the budget itself, is the SNAP program. And because the SNAP program is tied to the federal government, and because this government shutdown that's on day 24 right now is started at the beginning of the year, SNAP is currently running out of money. They had some money that was kind of left over from last year. That money is starting to run out, and we're getting word, potentially, we're getting word that if we don't get something figured out here real soon, get the government back open, get things moving again, that potentially come November, you may not be receiving your SNAP program. Now, let me, when I say SNAP benefit, I want to make sure that everybody understand what I'm talking about. SNAP, when I was a kid, was called food stamps. That's not being negative. That is how people were able to purchase food for their families and for their kids. So now I think it's SNAP. I think they call it EBT or something, whatever. But at the end of the day, if no money's put on those cards, I want to make sure everybody understand that. If no money's put on those cards, then families come November 1st will not be able to go to the grocery store and buy something. And what I'm being told, the advice that is being told to individuals that are receiving it is, if you have some money on your card now, go to the grocery store and buy those non-perishable items like canned goods and those kind of things, just in case we get into a bad situation. Every state is different. Every state, some states have money, some states don't. But I believe here in Georgia, they are starting to tell our great citizens that if SNAP is not taken care of by the federal government, it may not be enough money to take care of everybody. But we will follow back up on this even more next week. But let me just stop before we load this particular video, because I want to make sure it's very clear. But right now, I see that we're closing in on 2,000 people that are actually following us. And then on the back end, we'll have some more discussions. I'm not sure if I'm going to have any questions, but I do want to run a video that I just saw yesterday out of Atlanta. Go ahead.
Could soon lose the food assistance that they rely on. And with Thanksgiving now just weeks away, this timing really could not be any worse.
Yeah, Atlanta News' first Abby Kastouris shows us how Georgians are bracing for the unknown.
Nearly 1.4 million Georgians are enrolled in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP. It helps low-income families put food on the table. But those benefits could expire next month, leaving many families wondering how they're going to get through the holidays. Without a deal in Washington, the USDA warns benefits will dry up in a matter of weeks.
So you're talking about millions and millions of vulnerable families, of hungry families that are not going to have access to these programs because of this shutdown.
When the stamps cut off after this month, what happens next month?
Tabitha Brown, a single mother of 5, worries about her kids going hungry and what families in need might do without help.
A lot of people may go and start breaking in stores, stealing food. It's hard. And I'm not saying that I'm going to do that, but other families, you don't know what it's like.
Community groups are trying to fill the gaps left by a void in stalled government programs. In Atlanta, Women's International Grail plans to serve 500 Thanksgiving meals.
Families in Atlanta that they can come, and we're going to make sure they have not only food, but job opportunities, mental health assistance, winter essentials, and just much more. Like, this is important because it's personal.
Founder Demetria Henderson says they've had other donors and nonprofits pull out because the shutdown is affecting their funding too.
Yeah, give mommy a hug. Let's hug.
For families like Tabitha's, they're holding on to what matters most, each other. This Thanksgiving, the question isn't what's on the menu, but how they'll be grateful for what they still have.
I love you.
The USDA says if Congress doesn't come to an agreement soon, those benefits will run out nationwide, affecting nearly 1 in 7 Georgia families. In Atlanta, I'm Abby Kasoris.
You know, that's heartbreaking. We got to get this figured out. If Congress doesn't come back in, like I say, today is day 24. We're getting very close to the very end of the month, and you can't do something on November 1st and think it's going to hit the ground to the people. So we learned that last week when it was talking about our veterans and trying to get their pay. I got a question here. Do you think that the food bank can support enough people? I don't know if they can, but what I will say is this, and I was going to say this anyway, is that I think right now our churches, our food banks, all of those organizations, you're always out there working hard and taking care of people. I think this is the time that the ones of us that are blessed in a way, if we can donate to those food banks, do that. If you can go there and help pass out food to different people, do that. This is the time to instead of pointing fingers at each other, to wrap our hands around the community, our less fortunate community, and make sure that they can make it. Because right now I don't see where Congress is talking to each other. They kind of talking past each other or not even talking at all. So I think, just like I started the show, I think the farmers, I think the ranchers, and I think everyday people that are just out there trying to make it are going to start feeling the hurt, and because they're already feeling the hurt. So the answer to this question is, I don't know. What I do know is plenty of organizations out there that are set up to help people, your churches, your food bank organizations. And one of the things I plan to do this week, I plan to go and visit a few of the food banks myself here in my local area and see what can I do. And that is what I encourage you to do. Instead of talking about what somebody else is going to do, you go yourself. Take time out your day and go down into the food bank and say, hey, what do y'all guys need help? Do you have enough food to pass out? Or do you need hands to help pass out the food? And do you do it every day, or do you do it on a particular day? So let's all get in behind this and hope and pray that we get this figured out, because a significant amount of American people are on SNAP. You always kind of think, no, it can't be. No, a significant amount of people in great need here in the United States, and we're the richest country in the world, so we need to act like it and make sure the less fortunate us can eat and feed their families. Hey, again, I just want to stop real quick and thank everybody. I see there's 2,400 plus people that are actually watching us, and that in itself is cool. You know, we got a rule on this show, is this show will start at 7 o'clock. We don't really know when it's supposed to end, but we will not keep you too long. And if you've been watching us, you know when my cup goes empty from coffee, then the show ends. It's not exactly empty yet, but it's getting close to it. But I just want to touch on a couple of things. Right now, I mentioned it last week, and I'll mention it again this week, is that, and I'll talk directly to the camera on this one. You know, we started the show off talking about cattle ranchers. Then we moved into our soybean farmers, and then we moved into what's happening at the grocery store and the price of beef and the price of grocery and all that. And then we moved into the SNAP program. And how we're going to help people with their food stamps in a great need. And we're about to go into the holiday season, and potentially how they're not going to get anything. With all that being said, one of the things I do know from being a soldier, that veterans, but also farmers and just everyday people, in this case, I'm going to talk farmers, are in a very stressful period right now. And I want to make sure that our farmers understand if they need some help when it comes to mental health, that they can call this number that's on the screen. I want to make sure that I leave this up on the screen. I'm even going to make sure that it's posted on all of my social media, so that if you are struggling, or somebody in your family know your mom and dad or brother or sister struggling, let's get in touch with this hotline, Ag Stress, because right now, believe it or not, it is more farmers that are deciding to make a short decision, a long-term plan. If you understand what I'm saying, 22 soldiers per day decide to commit suicide. I think that rate is higher when it comes to our farmers. And right now, farmers got unbelievable pressure on them, and we need to make sure that they have access to mental health. So I ask you to take the time out, talk to somebody. We're going to get through this. We're going to get all these things worked out. And I just wanted to make sure that before I got off this show today, that I stopped and tried to give you a golden nugget, like I try to do every week, of some kind of action, something that can actually help you, versus just telling you what actually happened in the news, but give you something that can make a difference. Hey guys, right now it's roughly 2,500, 2,600 plus people that are watching. We have been on now is 7:37 a.m. on the East Coast. And I just want to make sure, do we have any more questions before I jump off? I don't want to leave anybody, if they had a question, to think I was just jumping off. I don't see any more questions jumping up on the screen here. So let me just say thank you. I want to say look forward to talking to you again next week in this capacity. If you see me anywhere out in the community, stop me and say hi. I'm just another regular Joe that's kind of walking around out there trying to make a difference. So with that, I want to say thank you. This show, as soon as it's over, will be produced again where it's actually out there so you can see it. Share it with your friends. Please share it with your friends, because we want to get the word out. And when my team posts the information about suicide or helping our farmers, please, when you see those posts come out, share that with all your friends, mom, dad, sisters, brothers, everybody, because this is a very stressful time. And again, if you see me up in Tennessee or Kentucky this weekend when I'm buying cows, say hi. We hope to be able to pick up 1 or 2 cows that are already bred and bring them back into our farm and make it bigger. So with that, like my staff there you see behind me, it's been staff approved. They said, look, we're doing good things, keep doing good things. And look, thank you for everything. Have a great day. And as you can see, the cup is empty. My desk always gets dirty because it's always just a little coffee there. As you can see, it leaks out, but that's okay. It's my office. And again, I just want to say thank you. Have a great day and see you next week.